Hi, good morning. Media members, we're good to go? All right, I'm Kevin Carrico, your council president. Thank you for joining me this morning. We're here today to discuss tax relief for our citizens. On this very important occasion, we're here to make it clear that our citizens deserve relief. And today, this isn't a Republican issue, this isn't a Democrat issue, this is an issue for the people. Based on the calls that we're getting, based on the concerns of our citizens, based on the conversations I'm having out in the district where people are struggling, taxes are going up on their houses, trim notices have been delivered, relief is needed. I've got the Finance Committee behind me, I've got members of the council behind me, I've got courageous individuals that have already made steps toward cutting your tax relief. Citizens, do we like that? We like that. And now it's time for the call to action, because the job's not done yet, okay? It's time to reach out to your council members. It's time as the citizens to activate so we can get this over the goal line. We need to continue to push and say enough is enough. We want the relief. We want to give the money back to the citizens. Over $13 million have been cut from your taxes. That money is coming back to you. We shouldn't be discussing any increases. We shouldn't be discussing keeping it flat. We should be discussing giving those dollars back. And that's what we're here to do. So I've got a lot of people behind me that are going to speak to you today. I've got the Vice President of the City Council. I've got the Finance Chair. And we have a special guest today. We've got the Chairman for the Republican Party of Florida. They're all going to speak to you. So I'm going to tee it off with our Vice President and Vice Chairman of the Finance Committee, Mr. Nick Howland. Come on up, Mr. Howland.
How about our Council President? Let's give him another round of applause here. Rare AG sighting over there. Hey, AG. What you just heard, what you're going to hear the rest of this morning is no secret to anyone. Chicken used to be $3.99 a pound. A box of Cheerios used to be $1.99. 5 years ago, the average home in Jacksonville was valued at $200,000. Now it's valued at $300,000. That's 8% annual growth. Over the same time, salaries in Florida have only grown 3 to 4% on average. It's simple. A dollar today doesn't go nearly as far as a dollar used to go 5 years ago. That means so many folks are struggling to keep up. You need more dollars in your wallet to pay for groceries. You need more dollars in your wallet to pay homeowners insurance. You need more dollars in your wallet to pay your property tax bill. But if governments go unchecked, they'll reach in and take more dollars out of your wallet. Governments think taking your money will solve society's ills like affordable housing, hunger, hospital bills, free roofs, and down payment assistance. Instead, taking taxpayers' hard-earned money out of their wallets makes them more likely to need affordable housing, subsidized meals, Medicaid, and down payment assistance. That's why we need to cut waste and reduce taxes wherever we can, whenever we can. And this year, we can. The Finance Committee has delivered a budget to Council that cuts waste and reduced property taxes by millions. We cut fees for lobbyists in half. We cut the mayor's office salaries by more than $400K. We cut perks for elected officials, travel perks and ticket perks. We created room in this budget to deliver millions of dollars in tax cuts that will leave more dollars in your wallet for you to spend as you see fit instead of taking government dollars, instead of the government taking dollars out of your wallet to spend as it sees fit. Let me say it one more time. This budget delivers millions in property tax relief. We must stay strong and get it through final approval next month. You just might hear in the coming days naysayers say that this property tax reduction threatens public safety funds. Wrong. There's still a lot of fat in this budget. It's not lean or tight at all. The threat to future public safety funds is not property tax relief. It's excessive spending on recurring programs that government should not be involved in. Take a look at the city where I was born, Chicago. Chicago crowded out public safety funding by spending everything they collected on things that are far outside of the scope of government until they had no more to spend. That will not happen here. So let me leave you with this thought. It's not a tax cut that endangers public safety. It's wasteful and fraudulent spending, which develops into wasteful and fraudulent recurring programs, which crowds out public safety spending. Property tax relief, on the other hand, leaves millions of dollars in the pockets of taxpayers and leaves government with less money to waste. Because, you've heard me say it before, if we give the government an extra dollar, it'll always spend it. And an extra dollar in the hands of Jacksonville's families is always better than an extra dollar in the hands of Jacksonville's government. Let's deliver property tax relief for Jacksonville families now. Over to the Finance Chair, Mr. Arias.
Mr. Vice President Nick Howland, thank you so much. You know, it takes a lot of courage to make a tax cut, but this isn't the first time that a council or a mayor has ever done this. In fact, Mayor Leonard Curry did it in his last year of office. And two of our greatest mayors from the earlier in this millennium, Mayor John Payton and John Delaney, also proposed and passed several tax cuts. And we're just honoring that tradition here today. And now I'm going to introduce another man that has a lot of courage, my finance chair and my friend, Mr. Raul Arias. Come on, Councilman.
All right, good morning, everybody. So you've heard the numbers, you've heard the facts, the data from Council President Carrico, Council Vice President Howland, and today, as a finance chair, the mission was simple. It was to lower taxes, to reduce the debt, and strengthen our reserves. This is literally the first time in quite some time that we've done all three in 1 year. First time, all while protecting the compassionate services for our most vulnerable citizens here in Jacksonville. And I'm proud to say we did just that. We managed our fiscal responsibilities wisely and still found a way to lower property taxes. Over the last 2 years, our city has collected an additional $160 million of additional property taxes, on top of a $40 million one-time JA contribution and $40 million in solid waste collection fees. That's over $240 million of additional revenue collected in the last 24 months. $240 million in last 24 months of additional revenue. I want that to stick in your head. Additional revenue, all right? But let's be clear. This isn't government money. This is your money. It belongs to the families who work hard to put food on the table, to pay the light bills, and to keep up with rising costs. Too often we hear talk about new social programs, but rarely do we hear talk about real relief, the relief that our taxpayers need. They're footing the bills in many cases, and in many cases as well, they're overpaying. So I ask a question we all must ask each other. When is enough enough? Our residents, our families, our neighbors continue to be hit with high taxes and fees. This is why today I stand proud with my colleagues on the City Council, right behind me, our Finance Committee that went through rigorous work in the last 3 weeks to be able to produce a well-balanced budget. This millage cut, though it is a modest 1/8, it represents something bigger than just 1/8. It represents our commitment to review the millage regularly and to ensure that government doesn't grow more than it needs. Our job is to put money back in our job is to put money back in the hands of those who need it the most, because government should never grow faster than our citizens' ability to pay it. This is why my mission, my commitment, and my promise to the people of Jacksonville is to do just that every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And now, to a man with a family of 5 who knows something about budgets, I'm going to pass it over to past president, my friend and my brother, Councilman Terrence Freeman.
Thank you, Council President. Good morning to all. This year was my 10th year of going through a budget hearing process from when I started working at the city. And having served on the Finance Committee several times, I must say this was one of the toughest budgets that I have seen. I want to commend Council President Carrico on his leadership. Council President, you were focused, you were compassionate, and you were effective. I want to thank the Finance Committee and the Finance Chair, Councilmember Arias, for taking on the tough decisions, taking on the tough discussions, asking tough questions so that the citizens in Jacksonville were fully aware of what was taking place. Mr. Finance Chair, you allowed voices to be heard. You allowed issues to be debated, and you did it all while keeping things on track. Well done. My year as Council President, as was mentioned earlier, was the year of Mayor Lenny Curry's last term, and we did reduce the rate. It wasn't easy at that time, but they say that a budget is a reflection of your priorities, and we made it clear that our priorities were giving relief to the citizens. People are hurting, and we need property tax relief now. We did it my year as president, and Council President Carrico, I'm confident that we can do it again this year. And I want to take the time now to thank my good friend and chairman, Mr. Evan Powers. You take your time to travel throughout the state tirelessly in support of such important issues like this. We're better because of your work, and thank you for taking the time to come to Jacksonville. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. When they told me Terrence was going to be one of the speakers, it was a sweetener to this deal because I've known you forever, so thank you for your hard work. You know, waste and fraud in Jacksonville isn't a hologram. It's very, very real. And I'm proud to stand with the people behind me who heard the call of their taxpayers that they wanted relief, and they were willing to take the hard fight of budget cuts and look at the waste and fraud and make difficult decisions. Because for too long across this state, while the state is the most efficient government in the country, local governments have been spending out of control. And every time you're over the target on cutting waste and fraud, they say you're cutting essential services. Essential services are essential. They will be funded. It's all the other things, all the other choices that people have made, whether it be tickets or whether it be whatever perks they want to give themselves, or whether it's programs they set up in perpetuity. And that's why, as taxpayers have struggled with increasing costs, city governments have spent out of control. So I am grateful for these members in Jacksonville who are willing to make the tough calls, the tough decisions, and provide real results to their constituents and the taxpayers of Florida, because that's the next work. Property tax is the #1 issue facing Floridians, and if Jacksonville can make the tough decisions, so can every other city government across this state. So thank you for your hard work, council members, and I appreciate you all being here to hear about this because it's such an important issue, and I'm glad that we're getting real results here in Jacksonville, so thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. A few more things I'd like to echo. Public service, fully funded. Essential services, fully funded. Garbage, fully funded. Infrastructure, fully funded. Police, fire, rescue, children's services, fully funded. Millage, cut. Reserves, more money back into it. Debt, cut. All these things happened in this budget. Now, we've got to pass the full council, get it through, and give our citizens relief. We'll open it up for questions at the moment for anyone out here in the media. Yes, AG. Mr. Power.
Back in 2023, the Republicans had a circular firing squad. They basically knocked each other out in the mayor's race. That's why we have Mayor Deegan to begin with. Now, heading to 2027, there are a number of people behind you who have been exploring running for mayor. Is it going to be settled before the primary, the first election in March? What's the state party going to do to make sure that this second term is
Well, I think we're going to take a very active role. My chairmanship has always been taking on these tough fights wherever they are. You know, I let the primary process play out however it does. I'm happy to have discussions with people here. But I think what's so important here is exposing the horrific things that the Deegan administration has done and how she's not leading this city in the right direction. And when you make those arguments, it's going to be very easy to say why they need to send Mayor Deegan packing and put somebody else who actually represents the constituents forward. We're going to have those discussions. We'll continue to put out the things that she's doing that are bad, and I've been very active in pointing out some of those things and working with some of these people behind me on how bad she is for this city. So that's what we're going to continue to do. I think when you look at it, if she's lying to the constituents saying that any cut to the budget is affecting essential services, people know that she's lying. People are going to come back and say, these people delivered property tax relief, they made budget cuts, they made the tough decisions, and so a conservative government is much better than someone who's spending at will, making poor decisions, and making herself the story, because the story should be about the taxpayers, not a mayor.
Can you repeat the question? Yeah, our essential services are public safety, first and foremost. That's our responsibility as government. So police, fire, infrastructure needs, things that keep us safe. You can't have potholes the size of Volkswagens. We got to fix that because that endangers us. It keeps us safe. Anything that's safety, that's essential. Everything else, we have to look at openly and see if that's something that has to be determined whether we can make sure that's something we fund or not. Yes, sir.
Specifically, every council member has $1 million as part of the community benefits agreement. Their council member budgets, the council member funds of about $1 million. It's doing some fuzzy math in my head. Is that something that you all consider cutting, like your councilman discretionary spending to cover the gaps that were in the budget?
Yeah, you're referring to the CBA dollars, the Community Benefits Agreement, which was part of the contract of the new stadium deal. That's $14 million, $1 million for every council district. That can be spread out over the whole term of that deal. So that's something we could use for infrastructure in our districts or community programs. We can give that back to the budget in future years, or we could choose to spend it. It's held there, and if you want to give any context on that, you can. Yeah, Councilman Arias.
Thank you. Great question. And the way I see it is, you know, those district dollars, there's 14 districts, and which comprise all of Jacksonville, essentially. So there's my district on the south side, on Bay Meadows. There's Rockman's district. There's Mr. Carrico's district. So I think that those dollars are essential to the improvement of our community, because ultimately every district council member knows what's best for their district, and those dollars could only stay in those districts. So when you're talking about improvements for the betterment of Jacksonville, who knows better than these guys standing right behind me? So essentially those dollars would never be cut. That was not part of the plan. The original agreement was to have those dollars in the actual budget. Because they were not in the budget and they were in the CIP, meaning only for capital improvements, we had to take it out of the CIP to put it in the original budget as originally termed. That was the original agreement, and now we could actually do the work to go into our communities and improve our communities. So that's why those dollars are still there, and they're going to stay there.
Good question. Any dollar back in the hands of taxpayers is better than wasteful spending of the government, and we could look at doing more. The budget's not over yet, but it's a good start, and I think in future years we'll continue to look at more wasteful spending and more future cuts if we can make them. But right now, this is the spot we landed in to make sure everything essential is funded, and these are future discussions we can have. Yes, Mr. Bauerlein. Anything we cut is relief. Anything going back in the hands of the property tax owner is relief, and we're challenged to do more, and we're going to continue to try to do more. Next question. For media members only. Yeah, those amendments were put in by Councilmember Diamond. I support those amendments as a conservative. I don't want to see our tax dollars used on any of the items that the amendments covered. If the mayor wants to veto that, that is up to her. And if you have any further questions on the amendments, we have the author of the amendments here if you want to ask him any details on that. Mr. Diamond?
What's the question?
Do you have a question?
The greatest thing about these amendments is we're saying, no, Donna, there'll be no money for DEI. No, Donna, there will be no money for abortions. No, Donna, there will be no money for illegal immigration. And you know what's going to happen? The mayor's going to have to decide whether she's with the vast majority of the city of Jacksonville or if she's in the pockets of the left-wing donors that control her. We'll all find out together.
All right, we'll take one more question. Yeah, go ahead.
Are there plans for the city to work with non-governmental organizations to fill some of those gaps that have been suggested through the finance committee? If so, what are the ways that can be done during the upcoming?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of Jacksonville, Florida. We have one of the most robust nonprofit communities, I think, in the country. And these are conversations that I'm willing to have with the mayor's office. What can we do to get with groups like Aging True that are doing the Meals on Wheels? How can we leverage the outcry of the community that says we need more dollars for Meals on Wheels and work with the donors and the people who are upset that says we need more for these programs and get these hands in the dollars of the nonprofits. And I'm willing to go to the table as a nonprofit leader to work with these organizations to try to help them with philanthropic efforts and leverage these resources to try to help non-government organizations. So willing to do that. It's just being an advocate and helping those organizations find resources out in the private sector. That would be ideal. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. All right. Have a good one.